Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by this video. Appreciate it. This video here, I'm going to talk about Dimebag Darrell. Right here, Dimebag. And particularly on his last day of life, which was December 8th, 2004. That was 24 years after John Lennon was murdered. John Lennon was murdered on December 8th, 1980. And then 24 years later, Dimebag Darrell was murdered on stage with his band Damage Plan. They were wrapping up a tour of club tour dates and whatnot, and I believe this one here in Columbus, Ohio, Dimebag Darrell's final show, was their second or so last before they were done with the tour of clubs and whatnot. And so sadly we know the events of what happened, but I'm gonna just talk about them here now, just in case, just to clear up a little bit of fact from fiction and whatnot. Most people know the entire story, but but this was 2004. There wasn't a lot of technology like there is now. Like if this were to happen now, it would have been on people's cell phones. It would have just, it's crazy. Like the way technology has progressed now. And he's been dead since 2004. It's 19 years ago almost. Crazy to think that it was that long ago. So what Dime wanted to do here, he knew that Pantera was over with him and Vinny, because Phil from Pantera, their singer, they couldn't rely on him, in those last moments, those last year or two of Pantera. So Dime and Vinny took a break, and they were just frustrated, with the way everything was going down with Phil and whatnot. But anyhow, that's Pantera, so they decided to form a new band. They called themselves Damage Plan. They released their debut album in early 2004, and I loved the album. I bought it, and it was just incredible. It was just like, wow. It was almost like all that energy that Dime had built up, while not recording or playing and whatnot. And he took all that and he just made this incredible music, some amazing riffs. It's a very amazing album. And so Dime with Vinny, his brother, hooked up with Bob Zilla on bass and Pat Lockman on vocals. And like I said, they decided to do a club tour of all clubs. The reason why they did these clubs is that Dimebag Darrell wanted to be like this close to his fans. He didn't like, he had the arenas. He did the arenas. He sold out many arenas and whatnot with Pantera. And but with Damage Plan on this particular tour, he wanted to be closer to the fans, and that's really cool, because you don't see many bands that are doing that now. You have Dimebag Darrell in Damage Plan, which is a small little thing. I mean, it had Vinny and Dime, the driving force behind it, so that's what their momentum. They had a hell of a lot of their name or whatnot. So it was just a really a good band that they put together. Like, I love Damage Plan, and I would have loved to have seen how far it would have went had these events of December 8th, 2004 not happened. So like I said, they released their debut album in early 2004, and they were touring on it. And like I said, Dime wanted to get closer to his fans. Unfortunately, that ultimately, in a way, cost him his life. His generous soul. Like, he was such a amazing guitar player and amazing guy. You never hear anything bad being said about Dimebag Darrell. I mean, yeah, he drank a lot, but you know what? That was part of the whole rock and roll scene, man. I'm a musician. I don't drink, but I'm a musician. I play a lot of music. But for Dime, it was just, it was almost like an everyday thing, like, not every day, maybe not there, but that's just that's all it was, just have some fun, get out there, kick ass. It was just amazing to, So basically, what happened that day is that they arrived in Columbus, Ohio, and they were playing in this small arena club. It wasn't very big, and so Dime set up a video camera to record almost every single show that he did. I don't think that he videoed every single show, but he did video a lot of shows. And sadly, in a way, I guess you could say, on at this particular show, he has his camera set up, looking towards basically the center part and the crowd, and then you can see Dime, and you can see Pat, and then you can see Bob. You can just barely see the hint of Vinny's bass drum, and so they started playing the first song of their set, which was "Breathing New Life." And about 20 minutes or so into the set, you see Jeff, the Mayhem Thompson, the security guard for the band, come running off the stage, out of the view, out of the camera. And the next thing you know, you see a guy, big guy, with a big sweater on, with a hoodie, and he's got the gun in his hand, and he's going right for Dimebag Darrell. Now, he shot Dimebag Darrell 5 times in the head. Dime was definitely dead before he hit the ground. It's, you could not have survived that. And if you watch that particular video where it shows a bit of like the camera angle going towards in Dime's direction, right after the shooter, I'm not even going to say his name. It's just not worth it. So right after that, like I said, Jeff, the security guard for the band, he works security for the band, yeah. We see him rush to take the gunman and take him off stage. This is in a matter of seconds. He runs off, sees the shooter go, runs back on, and then when he grabs him, you can hear the gunshot. And if you look very, very close in that video, you can actually see Dimebag Darrell collapsing to the floor. You can see a little bit of it. Like, if you know what you're looking for, Dime had long, long hair and whatnot, and you hear that like the guns, and then you see Dime fall, and then you see Jeff, the security guy, Jeff Mayhem Thompson. You can see him trying to get this guy off, and in the process, he gets shot himself, and he was shot and killed. And you almost see him take the shot, the bullet, I mean, and he hit the ground. And so Dime's guitar tech was there, obviously, and he went over. Vinny was going to jump over his drum set, he said, and run to help, but Dime's guitar tech jumped on top of Vinny to keep Vinny from being hurt, shot himself, which is a brave thing to do. He's covering Vinny, so Vinny, doesn't get shot. And if anybody does get shot, it would be him. So that's really, really brave of him to do that. But then he said, "Get up, run, get off this part of the stage, get off." So Vinny said that he just ran. He just got the hell out of there. He said that he seen Dime getting shot, and I can just imagine what that was like, to see your brother shot in the head 5 times. So anyhow, Vinny got off the stage, and then in that video footage, you see a lot of people kind of just getting closer, and then screaming, and oh, he just killed Dimebag, and he even reloaded his gun. He had time to reload his gun, so people were terrified. Nobody wants to get shot. Actually, a part of the guy, Cat Brooks from the Pantera crew, Damage Plan, he went after the gunman, and he said, you're not gonna kill people in front of me. So he managed to live. He tried to subdue this gunman who was so tall and so big, and he got shot, I believe, 3 times, just gun wounds. To me, it's miraculous that he survived. After being shot and released from the hospital like 2 days later. Talk about bravery. If that's not bravery, I don't know. I don't know what is. It's for him to just go after this guy who was shooting him and still trying to reason with this guy to tell him to stop killing his friends. He's killing his friends. And there's a lot of people that were on that stage that didn't go to where the gunman was. There's one guy in particular, he's wearing a Toby Keith shirt. He's just so nonchalant, just calm as can be about what's going on, and shooing people off the stage, people who got on the stage who want to get on the stage and help. And he's just sitting there talking as if everything is so casual and whatnot. I don't know, I always found that guy kind of irritated me when I watched that footage back. It's like he could care less about what just happened right there in front of him. I mean, yeah, there's people that's in shock and whatnot, but this guy was not in shock. He was as clear as could be when you hear him talking and whatnot. Um, so anyhow, the gunman is there, and he murders Dimebag, and then the Mayhem Thompson, the security guy, killed him too. And there was a stagehand there named Aaron Hulk who was also murdered as well. Uh, and then you have a kid from the crowd. I say kid, he was younger than me, I suppose. Uh, his name was Nathan Bray. And if you watch that video, you can see this kid in a white shirt. He keeps trying to get on stage, and then they keep pushing him back. He keeps trying to get on stage. They push him back, and then finally he did get on stage, and he ran right over to where Dime was so he could help, try resuscitate Dime so he wouldn't die. And he actually lost his life in the process. He was shot too and killed. And I remember for within a year, uh, talking to his mother on I think it was damageplan.net, the message boards. That's how old this stuff was. And we talked to his mother, and we said, your son's a hero. He just went right up there to help. He didn't care about his own life. He just wanted to get up there and help people. And I remember all of us telling her that, yes, he's not here with you now, but you can be happy with the fact that your son risked his own life to save somebody else's life, and that's what happened. He lost his life. Um, so it's sad because the gunman not only killed Dimebag Darrell, he killed Jeff, the security guy, Aaron Hulk, the stagehand, and the fan Nathan Bray in the crowd. And so there's some footage of the police officer James Niggermeyer, who was working that night when he got the call from his dispatch that there was a shooting at the Alrosa Villa, and people were saying the guy was still shooting. So rather than wait for backup, he drove to the club, and he took his shotgun with him because he wanted to have more weaponry than just his handgun. So he took his shotgun, and people are running out the back door, the side door, and whatnot. Now, I gotta point this out. There is a video clip of that. It's like 9 minutes long. It's a recreation of what happened, but some of it is real. Like some footage is real, but for the most part, most of it is just a recreation. And a lot of people, they think, oh my God, like look at the gunman, look at it. It is nothing like that. If you look, you can see the drum set they show there. It's a basic standard drum kit. No, nothing crazy like Vinny's. It was just a normal drum kit. So they had like these different angles coming in and whatnot, but most of that is a recreation. I'd say about 85–90% of that particular clip is all a recreation. And so basically, whenever he entered the club, he said that the gunman had a hostage, and he said to himself, he said, I'm not going to let him kill this hostage in front of me. So while he has a hostage, he keeps shooting out into the crowd, warning people to maybe stay the hell away from me, or I'll shoot you or whatnot. And so he got there by himself, and everybody kept pointing to him and saying, it's him doing the shooting. You got to kill him, kill him, kill him. So basically, he gets there and he gets on stage, and you can see him go in front of Dime's camera with brandishing his shotgun, and he makes his way over, and guys said that they seen him flick the safety off and boom, take the shot and killed him. So basically, what he did was he went right in, and he went right up right up by the gunman, and boom, he shot him right in the head and killed him. And at first he was like, "Please tell me I didn't hit the hostage. Please tell me I hit him." And then you hear people say, "Okay, you got him down." So after that, you see the police officer in shock. Like he even said it himself later on in another interview. He's like, "What the hell did I just do?" He's like, "You don't ever want to kill another human being." He said, "But I come to realize the fact that had I not acted the way I did, there was no doubt that he would have killed me and the hostage and maybe many more people. It could have been a shootout." So we see him leave with a blank stare like in his face. He is just totally in shock. He was just shaking his head, and he had his shotgun in his hand, and he walked off the stage. And as he walked off the stage, a bunch of police officers eventually did come, and they ran on stage and to see what the situation was and what exactly had happened. So basically, he suffered with that, like PTSD for a long time. In fact, I don't even know if he's a police officer anymore. Maybe he retired young or whatnot. But he's a hero because he saved a lot of lives. Yes, he had to kill somebody but had he not done that, more people would have died, hands down. I mean, the gunman had time to reload his gun. That's how many times what the damage that he could have done. So it's you know, and when you see that in the video, they're about 10-15 seconds into their song, the first song, and you see Pat and you see Bob, and they both move out of the way. It's weird because they had no clue what was going on. Perhaps had Pat been in the middle, maybe he would have seen this guy coming. It's hard to say, right? So when you excuse me, when you see him going over for Dime, you can see Dime hit the floor after the first 2 or 3 gunshots. You can hear it. You can see him just a little bit. You really have to look. It's really, really tricky. The video clip might still be online somewhere. I downloaded it years and years ago. So sadly, Dimebag Darrell was murdered on stage at the Alrosa Villa nightclub on December 8th, 2004, which was 24 years after John Lennon was murdered. And it was just, such a tragic shock. Like, it's so senseless. He claimed that Pantera stole his lyrics. Supposed to be too, at an earlier show months before, they had trouble with this guy. I think I read that somewhere. They said that he was trying to knock over their amplifiers at a show, and I don't know if that's true. I just remember hearing that. But it's supposed to be. They said that he was despondent, or he was saddened that he pissed off, mad about Pantera breaking up. So when I heard that, I'm like, well, I guess it takes a certain person to be a little crazy, because if you're mad about Pantera breaking up, do you think that killing the guitar player is going to bring them back together? Honestly, you murdered the guitar player for Pantera. Any hopes of a decent reunion down the road or whatnot is gone. You murdered the guitar player, and you were trying to get at the drummer as well. So okay, yeah, whatever. He broke up Pantera. Okay, so kill the guitar player, and that'll make things better. What if? Unbelievable. This psychopath. He was like a schizophrenic or something like that. He was not taking his medication. He was off his medication and whatnot. And you just why would you do that? Like what possessed you to want to murder Dimebag Darrell? I mean, Dimebag Darrell was a fun guy. He always was. He seemed to be the life of the party, and everybody wanted to hang with him. They all loved Dime. Like, it's just, and then this happens. He snuck in the back door and he got onto the stage, and after it's just so shocking. And to kind of top it all off for me is that they came to my province in Canada, New Brunswick, in June of 2004. Now I had a job then. I was working a lot, and they were playing with Slayer, and I remember thinking, I'm at work, I can't get the time off, I can't go. I said, you know what, I'll catch them on the next time. I'll see them some other time or whatever. Little did I know that 6 months later that was going to be impossible because Dime was murdered, and one of the biggest regrets musically of my life was not going to that show. Just the fact that I could have seen him, live and whatnot. And it's sad, but it's a tragedy, And when I think about it, I get so mad because it was such a senseless death, just like John Lennon's very, very senseless death. No reason, nothing, just useless, completely useless. And when I go back now and I revisit it, and it's like his death was like my parents' John Lennon. Like same day that they were murdered on, 24 years apart. But it's like Dimebag Darrell for me was my John Lennon of my parents' generation or whatnot. It's just so much. You can't even wrap your head around it. It's just, it boggles your mind, because what is the point of murdering Dimebag Darrell. It takes a certain person to murder somebody, and for him to just savagely just take away Dimebag Darrell's life. The only benefit I think from the whole thing that could be seen is that Dime never seen him coming. If you watch that video, you see that he's he's at the facing the crowd, and then he turns around and he goes towards his amp. And when he goes towards his amp and he's staring at his amp playing, then you see the gunman come over and do what he did, shot him from the head from behind or whatnot, and Dime hit the floor. So in a sense, it's like Dime never even knew what hit him. I'm sure he was dead before he hit the ground. And it's strange too because they're playing breathing new life back into me is some of the lyrics. But there's a lot of songs on that record, like Blunt Force Trauma. Dime died from blunt force trauma. Well, bullets to the head. Breathing new life, Blink of an Eye, Moment of Truth. All these song titles and all these lyrics and whatnot. It's just like it's almost eerie because in Blunt Force Trauma they say blunt force trauma to the head, and that's exactly what happened with Dime. See, you go back and you listen to that now, and you're just like, wow, that's really, it's kind of a strange coincidence. It's just strange. I will never forget where I was, what I was doing when I heard about Dimebag Darrell's murder. I was in college, and the night before, well, December 8th, the night he was murdered, I was just playing a bunch of guitar stuff, and I was recording stuff into my thing. And before I ended the night, I said December 8th, 2004. The next day, I go to college. I go into the computer lab. I go in there and I load up the internet, and back then it was so different than how it is now, So I read the headline, gunman amongst victims at nightclub shooting. I said, okay, well, this is okay. So I clicked on it, and it came down, and they talked about it. And at those first reports didn't say that Dime was dead. And I remember reading it and just being like, just total, whoa. And then when I went to Pantera.com, they had a bunch of different pictures of Dime, and they put his birth year, his birth date, and then his death date, and I lost it. I just could not believe what I was reading, and I was just like almost in a state of like semi like shock or something. And I looked at my teacher, and I said, one of the best bands that I had listened to, the best guitar player, one of the best ever, was murdered on stage last night. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And I looked at her and I said, I can't be here right now. I said, I have to go. I can't stay here, and I can't not fathom this. This is insane. And I remember I called my girlfriend at the time. Well, she's my wife now. I called my brother, and I went home, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it at all. And it was just terrible, terrible when I read that Dimebag Darrell murdered on stage. And I just said, oh my God, this is a nightmare. And that's how I found out about it. And I was so just devastated about that news that I couldn't stay. I left college that day and just went back to where I was staying. And I might even have cried a little bit. Like, it's one of those things that you'll never forget where you were when you heard the news. And then Dime was buried on December 14th, 2004, which was my 22nd birthday. So knowing that I'm celebrating my birthday while Dimebag Darrell's being buried, it was just strange. It was just like, wow, man, like life does go on. And I didn't know him personally, but you still, it just hits you on 100 different levels, different emotions coming through. So basically, there's not much more that can be said, I guess. The gunman stormed the stage, shot Dime, shot Jeff, shot Nathan, shot Aaron, and, it's just, poor Dime. That's all I could say is he did not deserve that. He did not deserve that to happen to him. And none of them deserved to die that night. And it's shocking. It's to this day, it's shocking. It's shocking. So I remember in the days leading up, afterwards, all these tribute magazines and whatnot, and I bought them all, and I have them all in storage and whatnot. The one that was on sale at the time, Guitar World, when he died, at the bottom just said Dimebag Darrell. And back then they were still they had like plastic shield because they would have a CD-ROM, a CD I mean, inside with the magazine. So I bought that one and I saved it, and I never opened it, and I don't know if I ever will, because just on the cover it just said Dimebag Darrell, and I believe that might have been for holiday 2004 or November 2004, December 2004. I'm not quite sure, but I bought all the tribute magazines and whatnot, and put them away, and I'll pass them on to my son when he gets a bit older. So anyhow, so rest in peace, all the innocent. Just terrible. It just you know, just rest in peace, Dime, and rest in peace, Vinny. This is he's been dead now since 2018, and he's very much missed. Yeah. So I don't know if you have any questions about what happened, or just any questions in general about Pantera or Damage Plan or whatnot. Feel free to leave a comment below, and go from there. I hope that I could answer any questions that you might have. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I didn't expect it to be this long, but once you start talking on something like me, sometimes I just talk and talk and talk, even when people aren't listening. So rest in peace, Dime. We miss you, bud.